Mariusz, are you ready? Ryan, are you ready?
I am. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So let's
Ready,
go and get
ready.
rolling. I got a few folks here. I already jumped the gun and not being able to introduce everybody, so I should do that. My name is Tristan Threlkeld, Director of Sales and Business Development here for Data Courage. I'm joined by my trusty partners, Ryan Paterson and Mariusz Walter. Mariusz oversees our European channel, so he's going to be speaking with us as well today. And then Ryan, he leads our AI and data division here in North America. So appreciate both of them joining. And well, I think you're actually going to hear a lot more from them as we continue moving forward. Data Courage has been in business for nearly 20 years, worked with over 650 customers, across 30 countries. We've been in AI and working with AI for nearly 10 years. That's part of why we're here today. And that is, should be keying off to folks that are here listening in, even those that are going to watch it later on the recording. We've been working with AI for a long time in comparison to what's out in the market and what's going on today. So we got some trusted resources and a team that knows how to work with AI, develop with it, and build on it, and then deliver on it as well. And part of what you're here today is AI that actually works, right? And for those that are, you guys are all partners, you don't only want AI that actually works, you want AI that you can actually make some money off of. Okay, well, you're in a good spot. We're going to talk about those components. As you can see on the screen, as I've continued to roll through some of this, you're seeing, I think, the nine or 10 apps that we've built so far over the last, I would say, 4+ years. We delivered on our first app, AI customer intelligence, a little over about 4 years ago, actually. And that is pre-Copilot. So with that said, what you're going to hear today and talk with us today is not so much on Copilot, to be quite frank. Okay. Because we want AI that works, one, and we want AI that can also generate real value back and revenue for you guys. So with that, here we are, right into the Copilot Assist. I think, Ryan, this is your cue, my man. I'll hand it over to you, sir.
Right, sure. So I mean, the biggest difference that people can see between our apps and a lot of what's out there from a chat perspective is
Yeah.
that the apps that we've built are effectively agents inside of your system, right? They do a purpose. They are very trained for specific tasks rather than just having an open world of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. This is tailored and specifically built for certain tasks within the BC ecosystem. And because of that, they are goal oriented and repeatable,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's the
Right.
biggest key. If you
Well, yeah.
haven't tried out, you can ask the same question to a couple of different chat bots,
Yeah.
and you'll get different answers each time, right? And this
Well,
changes
we
that.
can ask the question here with the folks that are on, maybe do a raise your hand if you haven't tried something with Copilot or AI yet. Likelihood is I don't think anybody's going to raise their hand, but let's just see. The reason why I bring that out is more so to the co-pilots. We've tried it. We're testing it. We're putting it to see what, to use, to see what works, what doesn't work, how much can it handle, how much it cannot handle, all those components. Even in house, we test it. Continue change and update on that product as well, right? It's all over the place, and it's something that we live with now, right? So with that said, we how does it work? How can I monetize it? Well, that's the question, and I would say the kerfuffle that all partners are going through right now. Okay, it's one thing to be able to say, hey, yeah, we can get you a Copilot license. Okay, Microsoft is expecting you guys to not only have them get a license, but they need it to be used, right? So how are you getting your customers to use it? Well, when if it isn't working or in the way they expect it to, now we're in trouble, right? So with that said, right, Copilot's assist, they're a great assistant. They really can be and really are. Where agents act, okay? More of the expertise, as Ryan mentioned in there, okay? And that's what I would say our apps are. And yes, to a certain extent, that's what we're here to talk about is our apps because they work.
Yeah.
So Ryan, as we did a little similar presentation when we were at Directions, right? So some of the folks may have seen some of these components, right? We talked about the 9 apps and the 4 spheres, the one autonomous ecosystem. What's that
Right.
really mean, though? What's that saying, Ryan? What's that go with?
Well, Yeah, it's we've started thinking about our apps in these different spheres basically because there's there's a lot to digest. And we don't want to exclude certain apps just because other apps are getting some attention, or we want to, push one thing versus the other. And so rather than just kind of saying, hey, these are the main ones that we're going to show you today, we wanted to make
Yep.
sure that these kind of make sense. Where do they fit into this ecosystem, right? And so hence these four spheres, right? And as you can see them, they probably make sense, right? The financials, the growth is going to be your sales, operations is going to be your items and your movements of that, and then the foundation is everything that everything sits on. And so these four spheres helped kind of frame up how we're using these systems, right? As far as it being an autonomous ecosystem, and this is where we kind of get into the agentified pieces of this, is that it's not. Yes, it will react. Like if we go prompted, if we go ask financial intelligence a certain question, yes, we can get an answer. But the nice thing is that once we've done that once, let's say we've prompted it for a certain thing and we like that result, we can then turn that into an agentic thing so that it runs autonomously for us in the background. Similarly, we can autonomously track our customer growth, our vendor changes, our sales, right? All of these things that we've built up can now autonomously
Mhm.
keep track of things and then notify us when there's changes that we want to know about.
Well, and they live all inside Business Central. That's the other component. They don't live outside of the system, allowing more use, if you will, of BC and getting better with it as well.
And a trusted use, right? I think that's the other piece of this is that you don't have to take your data outside of your ERP. You don't have to copy your financial record into another chat bot and hope for it's to be secure, right? Your data's staying inside of that BC ecosystem.
Right. And as we continue on, right, we're into that finance section, right? We looked at those pillars, and so we're going to go into the finance side of it. So, right, we have a couple apps that fit that, and that is with the financial intelligence, which has that chat feature capability component with it, and then also the chief accountant assistant, right? And that's those are different, right, Ryan? You got
They
more, I
certainly
would
are.
say, executive and then operational type
Yeah.
approach.
Yep. Executive or strategic. Yep. And then an
Yeah, there you go.
operational. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So financial intelligence is very much strategic, if you will. We can have it analyze all of our financial record, everything that touches our financial record, and we can ask it questions about I can prompt into having a certain financial report created for me. Or maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe I just kind of curious what kind of problems it can find. I can ask it for that. Maybe there's an avenue that, our president has asked me to, focus on XYZ, and, I'm not sure what that means. And so I can go prompt it and actually say, how are we actually trending on this path? And what kind of things can I do to improve it? Now, obviously, we can ask that same kind of question to a lot of different chatbots, but the beautiful thing here is that it's actually tied to your financial record. And so
Yep.
not only is it just going to be guessing, but it's actually going to give you some real testimony about what is going on within your company and how you might change that. The opposite one here, or not
Right.
opposite, but the operational, that's the word I was looking for. The operational one here is the chief accountant assistant.
Right.
And the chief accountant assistant is allowing us to run a series of prompts. Think of them as tasks that our accountants would typically have to go do. So if they
Hmm.
would normally have to go check for, did we post an invoice for this document, or did we get all of our fixed asset depreciations filed, or did we have tax entries in for various things, right? Any kind of things that an accountant is checking, we can create it
Yep.
into a task and then operationally like automate that, right? So think of it as your
Yep.
close of months, your audit processes, any
Right.
kind of those things where they already have a list of tasks that they're having to do. We can do that in Chief Accountant Assistant and make it so that they're streamlining their work, right? And so to the point of, stop wasting money on AI that doesn't work. The AI that does work here is saving you time. And I think that's where
Yeah.
AI is really meant to be, right? We're not replacing things, we are saving our time so that we can do things more efficiently chief accountant
Right.
assistant is absolutely fitting that bar.
It absolutely does. Like you mentioned, it lives inside BC and allows those accountants that are on your team, no matter how small or large that is, usually you have somebody or multiple somebody's dedicated to month end close. And definitely on your accounting team, you have multiple resources there, right? They do a lot of manual tasks and redundancy because that's the process and what's needed. Now they're able to do those components, but inside BC and not have to be manual. They can plug it
Yep.
into the chief accountant assistant and it runs it for them. Like that in itself is going to help them save a bunch of time. Speaking of saving time, right? We have customers that are using this that are very large and also small in size. Some of them gone for like, take a full month or 3 weeks. They've gone from month, 3 weeks down to about 3 business days. Okay. And then those customers that we've got that are in like 2 week window, taking about 2 weeks to their month end close, they've got it down to a day and a half to two. Those are the metrics that are coming back to us and the feedback from our customers. That's an insane amount of days that are being paid back. So think about that, right? As your partners on this call is wait, they're saying that this app helps their users, BC users, save their month in time from being weeks down to days. So if you're talking about 2 weeks worth of work, that's 8 hour days for 2 weeks. Okay. That's a good amount of money that's not just being burned, if you will, because now you have a dedicated resource. That's all they do. Well, now they can still do all those components and yet able to do more.
Yep.
That's the key. Okay.
Yep. And since it is autonomous, right, certain things that if you've had repeating problems in your accounting books, right, you can have a task that runs just to make sure that that repeating problem doesn't keep occurring, right? Maybe you've got a new accountant on deck and want to make sure that they posted everything right. So the
Exactly.
sky's the limit, really. It's just a matter of thinking of what are you trying to look for from your financial record, and knowing accountants, there's a lot of things that they're looking for there.
Right. So, all right, on to the next as we keep this train moving along. Right, we're going to move from the finance pillar, that circle we were talking on, over to the supply chain, AI supply chain here, predictive logic, more for the operations. Okay, operations is the pillar that we're really speaking into here with vendor intelligence and item intelligence. Right, where vendors
Yeah.
are able to, as you can see right here on the screen, monitor those supplier performance in real time, flagging those risk signals so your procurement team can act proactively rather than reactively. Okay,
Yeah.
on the front end versus the rear end. Right, when we're driving, we look through the front window, not always looking in the rear view. Right, we have it, we use it, but maybe not always constantly looking at it. Anyways, not a great scenario, but I think you guys get it. And then we have item intelligence as well. That's the one that's where it knows your inventory better than honestly any analyst can. Be able to track those demand patterns, lead times, any substitution logic across your entire catalog that adds that in as well. It's a really good component to be able to add into your, I'd say, operations. With that, Ryan, what would you add into that?
Well, I mean, I think you covered it well, so I'll just talk to the autonomous piece of this, right? How can we let this work in the background by itself, right? And so similarly here
Yeah.
with item intelligence, maybe we have a high performing item that we know is one of our most profitable, and we just want to make sure that that keeps performing well. We can set up some notifications on that, and so if its categorization ever
Mm-hmm.
changes, which is part of what item intelligence brings, that then we can get notified, right? So that as soon as it
Yeah.
changes from one of our best performers to, trending down, we can actually be notified about that. This makes it so that we
Right.
don't have to go check on every single item every single day. For folks that even have over 50 items, which I've worked with clients that have thousands of items, right? Imagine trying to keep track of those high performing items on a regular basis. It's near impossible if you were trying to do it at the scale in which this can allow us to do
Yeah.
automatically. Similarly, vendor intelligence is one of those things that helps us remove ourselves from the equations to some degree. And what I mean by that is, as humans, we naturally build up relationships with folks. And typically, with our vendors and stuff like that, we'll end up having some sort of friendship relationship there. But if they're not
Mhm.
performing as well as our other vendor that can provide the same thing for us at half the cost, we should probably know that, right? Perhaps the one of our vendors has their shipping time has gone through the roof, and
Right.
it's slow, the death of slow cuts, right? We didn't notice it right off the bat, but at this point now they're 2 weeks slower than another competing vendor. Vendor intelligence helps on identify that, flags those risks for us, and makes it so that we don't have to be holding the ball at the end of the game, right? We can actually get ahead of it and make sure we score that goal.
Right. And it, again, with, I would say, flipping back over to item intelligence, it allows you to see and understand all your items. You probably have a good handle on what is performing well,
Mhm.
but what about the ones that are right in the middle? What about the ones that are lagging behind or ones that are just not performing at all? And why? That
Yeah.
solution helps you understand that and make the moves that you need to make as a business to help drive it forward. That way you
Yeah.
don't have products sitting. I think that's a detriment to a business if your products are sitting there, right?
What if your best performing vendor is the one that you've purchased the least amount of stuff from,
Mm-hmm.
and this
Mm-hmm.
helps eliminate that as a potential problem.
Okay. So over to the growth pillar, right? And this is where
There
we're
it
going to
is.
talk about a little customer intelligence and the sales quote generator, right? So being that proactive revenue side of it, right? Being able to, with customer intelligence, analyzing your customer behavior, who's churning and who's performing the best. Being able to handle that all inside BC without having to go outside, one, and be able to make action, right? Being able to be proactive with customers that are potentially going to turn from you. You're able to speak with them beforehand. Now we, don't lose them. We all know in this game is that it's harder to get a customer that's left you than it is to get a new one. And we know how hard it is to get a new customer. Okay.
Yeah,
Looking at those
exactly.
components. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just saying exactly. Customers are not always easy to come by, right? And you definitely don't want to lose those customers once you've established business with them, especially in repeating
Yeah.
business model.
Yeah.
Uh, this helps identify that, and for the same purposes from like the autonomy way, we can actually have this identify it for us, right?
Yeah.
Customers get ranked and categorized as performance levels as well as churn
Mm-hmm.
probability. And so we can keep our eyes on those that are increasing on churn probability, for instance, or perhaps, each salesperson has their own customers assigned. Maybe they want to just know which of my customers are trending downward, right? Maybe they're not
Right.
necessarily at the bottom, but that are trending downward is a bad sign,
Yeah.
right? We want to have that trend up. So these kind of things give our sales teams the tools to know this without just guessing. And I think that's the key piece here, right? Again, this is built inside of Business Central. It's built off of all of your actual sales data and history inside of there. And so
Mm-hmm.
when it's telling you this customer's performance is going up or down, it's based on facts
It's
that
on
we
the
can actually
historical of
drill into
what
and
that
find.
customer's done. Right. It's literally based on the historical of what the customer's done is what I was saying there.
That's right.
And what's really nice about this is partners find this really great because they use it in house. I have a partner that is recently towards the end of last year they downloaded and put in customer intelligence into their own in-house BC environment, not their demo database side of it, right? They're a BC partner. They use BC in-house, right? Eat your own dog food type thing. Okay, so as they loaded in customer intelligence, which takes 5 minutes, by the way, folks, it takes 5 minutes to download and install customer intelligence. So you can test it. I don't know if there's any other ISV that can get you up and running that quick, but we can. Now, with that said, add into that component is before we had them run customer intelligence to see the results and what actions it can take. I say actions is like the data it reveals and helps you better understand your customer base. Is I asked, who are your top 5 customers? And the partner thought for a minute, came back, okay, it's probably X, Y, Z, B, D, right? Okay, here's the 5. And said, okay, let's take a look. So we run it and we pull it up, who's the best customers, and it gives you the ranking system, 1 through however many customers you have inside your BC environment. They had, I think, 276. Yes, random number, but that stuck in my head for a reason. And he was able to get one of his top 5 customers correct. And that customer that he got right wasn't even his top overall customer for him performing. So it was a real wow moment of like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that these were my best customers and these guys were spending the most with us. I thought it was these guys. And we said, okay, that's probably because you're used to going off of gut instinct, your personal relationship with that customer, which it's not trying to take away from all that. Those are all great. What it's saying is that you have a feeling of who your best customers are, not a data backed factual result of who your best customers are. And with that, where are those customers potentially churning? And as I mentioned, he listed five. One of them made the top five, not the top customer, but the other four were in different areas. And two of them were trending towards churning away. And that was a big reveal for him. He's like, wow, what's going on? So that allowed him and his team to take immediate action to make sure no customer was turning away, and then also building up better relationships with those customers that are in that top five category and to continue to develop that out. So I thought it was a really good story to share. It was a real wow moment for them. They loved it, and because of that, that now it's part of their overall like process. When they're getting a new BC customer in, AI is a part of it, and it's the data courage AI apps. It's the financial intelligence, it's item intelligence, it's customer intelligence, it's the chief accountant assistant. Okay. And that is what's helping them and other partners that are working with us sell more BC, like overall BC deals, and they're selling them faster. It's speeding up the sales cycle and process. That's a huge benefit for you guys. Now, as we move over to the other pillar, right, I rambled on these benefits for you guys, talking about the foundation pillar, right, the foundation of intelligence with QuickBridge, item translations, and extended text translations. Ryan, as I
Yeah,
rambled on there for a few minutes, why don't you pick this one up for us and carry it on?
sure thing. Yeah. And so, as the sphere kind of leads to you to believe the foundation, right? So this is foundational stuff that we there was a need for, and so we've brought it up so that we make could fill that need. This is stuff that helps you make sure that you're on the right foundation, the right path for your data structure, right? And so the first one is QuickBridge here. This is a means for us to allow us to expose all of our Business Central data as an API endpoint that we can then export into Fabric or any other data warehousing solution that we want to bring our data into, right? So this makes it so that it's essentially a coding environment. We just connect it up and allow us to get to access to every single table inside of Business Central, not just the APIs that we were given from Microsoft, right? Which does help some, but it's very tailored specifically to what they thought was important. It is not every table, right? So QuickBridge allows us to get every table, whether it's an extension, whether it's a table that's rarely used, we get it all. And it makes it so that we can actually build these data warehouses off of this correctly.
Yeah,
So,
because like you
yeah,
mentioned, that you're able to tie into Fabric, the data lake there. You're able to tie into Power BI. So there's areas where you'll be able to grab that data and be able to visualize it. That's really at the end of the day what customers are wanting is I want to be able to visualize my data. I need to see my data, better understand it, so I can drive the business. Right? Where are we going? What's the money doing? Right?
mhm, yep, absolutely. And then the lower two are for companies that are global, right? So one of the pain points for companies that are servicing companies around the world is the matter of translations. And so what this does, again, these are built into Business Central, right? So, but these apps allow us to provide additional translations for things, right? So whether that's for our item, or whether that's for various descriptions, customer names, things like this, we can have extended text translations and item translations help to provide those in numerous different languages that we can then present, whether that's inside of an invoice or if that's perhaps on your website, whatever that presentation layer may be, or even if we were exposing that back through QuickBridge and then using it in data warehousing and reporting, right? And so these translations are a means to make sure that your entire customer base, your entire employee team, all understands exactly what it is that they're looking at, and they don't have to guess based off of the name, right? And so that's what those two do, is it makes it so that we don't have to consistently go back to that piece or that item, for instance, and change
Mhm.
the new description. Let's say somebody adds another, we have a whole new line of products coming on. Somebody added 100 new products into our Business Central environment, but they added all of the terms in just French. And that's like 10% of our team, let's say, right? But nobody else knows how to sell it. They don't know what it is, and so it's just not sold. Item translations allows that to be a thing of the past, right? So again, this can run on schedule. It'll analyze what's available, update those that are missing, the various translations that we've asked it for, and makes it so that it's again out of mind, out of hand, something that's just going to make sure that everybody has those translations available to them.
Ryan, we had a question that came in regarding QuickBridge. It's asking, can you do incremental loads through QuickBridge or just live data?
That's a great question. So for all of the tables inside of Business Central that support the timestamp field, then we can do an incremental load using that timestamp, assuming that you can get to the primary key, right? So most tables have a primary key, most tables have timestamps. So I would say mostly, right? But not all extension tables have that primary key, or sometimes it's a 10-part key. Not all tables have a timestamp field, so that those are the kind of tricky parts. But yes, otherwise.
Thank you. Great. If there's any other questions, appreciate the one that just came in. Will appreciate that. That's a good one. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to jump in and ask away. Okay. With that said, we've gone over the four pillars and we've covered, four of the apps. Well, more than four, but these are the apps that we've developed and they're in the App Store today. So what
That's right.
we've gone over and shown you is apps that have been approved by Microsoft. That means they've been checked, validated, and tested. It's one thing to be able to use AI that's out there in the world. There's free versions, there's outside of Microsoft stack versions or models, etc. That's all good. Go forth and prosper. But what about your data and how secure it is? Okay. And then coming back to what we started this with is being able to use AI that actually works. And
Mhm.
the reason why customers and potentially you guys on this call are having issues with AI that doesn't work is, frankly, using AI that doesn't know your data, point blank. And if
Yeah.
that's the case, that's why you're struggling and you're not going to get out of that. But that's why we're here to help.
Yeah.
Our apps build a level of trust and foundation. They are plug and play. There's nothing like this in the market. That allows you as the porter to have a suite of solutions that you can offer your customers that they can use right away, that install and load in like 15 minutes. They're up and running in under an hour.
Yeah.
That's, hard to come across, guys. Now you got, again, apps that can do these things, which then allows you to build further trust with your customers. Because that's what it's really all about. It's leaning on you to be able to understand like where your AI knowledge is. Trust me, they know that everybody's AI knowledge is slim because everybody's picking up and trying to learn it on the fly right now. Unlike us, who's been doing it for a decade and can help you with those conversations, give you guidance, tell you what works and what's not working with Copilot, and have those conversations, showing you what works with our apps and why partners are winning and winning at a faster rate and getting that consumption that Microsoft is asking you to get.
Yeah.
So,
I
as you can
think that's
see, a
perfect.
few
The only thing I would
clicks,
add
no
to
kill.
that, Tristan,
Yeah,
is just that, we've invested the time and skill set into making sure that these apps are, there is no hallucination, that they are giving you factual data only, that there is fact based on every response, on every category, on every flag that we're going to see through these apps.
right, right,
And like Tristan said, they're available in the App Store. They're free for
yeah,
trial licenses. Give them a spin. You know, don't waste time trying to recreate the wheel. when you might not know exactly all of the pitfalls that are going to be coming out from that, right? In this case, you can try a trusted
because they're
solution,
vast.
ready to build
Hmm.
and ready to use. Yeah,
Absolutely. So, as Ryan mentioned, best way to really find out and figure out is download them, use them.
that's right.
That's what's going to show you the difference, is seeing it with your data and understanding what's there. It's pretty amazing. And again, that's how partners are winning. So, as we mentioned, these pillars, we have the growth pillar, finance pillar, foundation, and operations. We have financial intelligence and chief accountant assistant. For finance side of it, item translations, extended text translations, and QuickBridge over there as part of that foundation. More of the operations side, customer intelligence and the sales quote generator, and the growth pillar on the vendor intelligence, item intelligence. Okay,
Right.
so again, your suite of solutions for AI apps all in one is strategy ready to roll. Okay, and just to kind of validate and prove it out, Mariusz, you're joining us. I believe you're still with us, but these are the apps that
Yes,
are
I
available
am.
on the RBC App Store, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm listening to you guys, and I am thinking that you did a great intro to this part for which I joined you today. Yeah,
Okay.
basically, I'm joining today Tristan and Ryan to share with you our recent experience being present at three Continia events, one in Hamburg, one in London, and the third one in Warsaw. And I want to focus on one very particular issue. Tristan, if you can go back one slide and just stay for a moment
Yeah, of course.
with the first one. So our aim was very simple because and quite unique, I would say, because we were presenting how one of our ISV products, which is AI Financial Intelligence, can actually make it easier to make the sale of another ISV product. Today, I will be showing this example on Continia Document Capture and how well you can handle and how quickly you can handle the issue of generating a personalized ROI calculation for Continia Document
That's
Capture.
right.
So I want to make it really quick. Yeah, I forgot to start my timer because I don't have much time, but I
Sure.
promise to be really quick because today I don't want to go into much details. I just want to provide you just a few steps process that every partner can follow. And because it's very easy, that's one
Yeah.
thing. And the second thing, it's actually for free. So the steps that you would need to follow if you want to calculate, sorry, to generate an ROI calculation is to simply go to App Store and download one of our applications, which is called AI Financial Intelligence. And the scenario I'm going to cover today is that you use our trial and the tokens, the credits that we provide for the trial to generate ROI calculation. So in the next step, you can move forward, Tristan, to the next slide, and you can start it. So in the next step, we provide a ready-made prompt. As you can see, the prompt is pretty huge, but it was created in such a way that it gives you a really valuable feedback, valuable information in the whole ROI calculation. As you can see, based on the prompt, you have generated a ready-made ROI calculation that you can then, as next step, export to a PDF file, and then you can share it with your client. Yeah. Just to make sure, I'm not sure if I mentioned the first step is that you download the application and this financial intelligence to your
Mhm.
customer's business environment. Because this way, our application can work on your customer's financial data and show and take this data into consideration when preparing this ROI calculation. And this is the result that you can have. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to go through the details today. I'm just sharing with you the very general idea. Yeah. So now you can see the ready-made ROI calculation, which is ready to be shared with your client. Okay, we can move to the next slide. And as regards the benefits you can have from this very simple, let's say, task, is that you don't need to engage Business Central consultants who usually are very busy to prepare a customized ROI calculation for your customer. Because the way that I described you can have your sales team trained by us, by Data Carriage team, and
Yeah.
we can make sure that everybody from your sales team will be able to generate such a ROI calculation for Continia Document Capture, but it can also work for any other product that you want to create ROI for. Yeah. What's more, if you apply this kind of approach, then your sales process gets shorter, which means you can speed up the whole process of presenting an ISV product to your client, and then having their feedback whether they want to follow up with this implementation or not.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just finish with this bit. Of course, there are plenty more benefits, but today I just want to focus on this. And the last slide from me, Tristan, would be the next one.
Okay. On the way.
We are very happy and eager to share with you how everything works in details. You can get in touch with us, and we can schedule a call and take you through the whole journey. And also, we can provide you training. We can also help you to install and configure these applications for you. And what else? Feel free to get in touch with us and give it a try, because we really have the very nice feedback, and we are happy to help you to do better job, to sell more, and to make your customers happy.
Yeah. Thanks, Mariusz. So we kind of added a couple pieces to that, folks that are still with us, and then they're going to join on the listen to the recording, is that the prompt was made in conjunction with Continia. We developed it. Yes, this is off of our financial intelligence, but we worked with them and to come up with the prompt to get to this real ROI calculation that you're seeing. And we were able to show this to them first before, well, they invited us to their events, multiple events, as Mariusz had mentioned. And that speaks to what they see and the value it provides in itself back. So you guys want to learn more and better understand this and how it works, we're happy to talk with you, as Mariusz mentioned, and walk you through that and get you on your way so you can do this yourselves. That kind of wraps us up. I believe we have one. What's happening?
Looks like we have a couple of questions coming in. Yep.
Yeah, I see that. So I'm sorry about the slide there, but we'll let that do its thing. Okay. Next question is, do we provide any other AI solutions beyond Business Central? I'll let Ryan speak to that, answer that one for us.
Absolutely. So we are a data and AI company, albeit we are in the Microsoft space, so we have a lot of our apps built for Business Central. But as things happen and as this world changes to adopt AI in a bigger capacity, we're doing a lot of things in various other solutions that are outside of Business Central. We are a Microsoft Data and AI Solutions partner, and part of that means that we do a lot of projects in the Fabric ecosystem, right? And so that's Microsoft's SQL in the cloud structure, if you will. That's putting it very simply. But Microsoft Fabric has a lot of tools out there that are purpose built for data and AI, and we can help you harness that power inside of your own ecosystem as well. And I think another thing that I'll mention is just like one of the things is we're constantly pushing that barrier, right? Trying to see what's next. I heard a great analogy not that long ago where at no point in time in history did we ever achieve some massive breakthrough and then everybody just quit working, right? Here we are, we're still working, right?
Right.
Uh, Excel was supposed to take everybody's jobs back in the 80s, right? So that didn't happen. Now we all use Excel. AI will be something that we use forever in our personal and in our professional lives. And it's just a matter of kind of leaning into that and figuring out where that can be, right? And so our team has done that as well. And while we're not ready to quite show that yet, uh, I what I'll say is that we're our next step is an app that's coming out that's coming for anybody's databases, data warehouses, and allowing you to basically do what we do with financial intelligence, but chat with your entire database, right?
Yep.
So coming
Pretty
soon.
exciting.
Keep like and subscribe. No, but follow us and make sure that you stay close enough to be ready for that when it comes out.
Yep, I think we're planning to go over that on our next webinar. Is the plan right now? So we'll see. We're pretty
Yeah,
close. We'll get an announcement out when that's ready. But with all
yeah.
that said, what your Ryan's component there and what we said today is that it comes back down to is that Data Courage is providing human-driven AI-powered apps that allow you as a partner to ingest them and sell them and build a foundation of trust with your customers, then open up a lot more project opportunity, frankly. And there's a lot we can show you on what these apps can help uncover and provide for not only your customers, but you as a partner. Happy to go over that with you guys. Appreciate everybody's time. I know we're at limit. I think it's a minute over now. As you can see on the screen, you can scan the QR code there, and that'll take you to the App Store and right to our apps. So we look forward to speaking with you all. Thanks so much for your time, and take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
I do have a question. Oh, could we have issues with big databases? Let me answer that one real quick. Brian, could we have issues with big databases is the question there. And I would say no.
Um, I,
It
I mean,
depends.
the answer is generally no. Depends on what the question is trying to get to. I think the question is really saying like, will it work with a large database? And the answer is yes, absolutely. It depends on how big of a scope of a question you're asking, right? So like with financial intelligence, we can query with natural language everything inside of our financial record. If I was to ask it, analyze 20 years of data and tell me what the problems were, it's gonna take it a minute for that to compute, right?
Yeah, for sure.
As far as issues, no, but there is compute that goes on behind the scenes, right? And so,
Work has to be
uh,
done.
yep, exactly.
Right. But you remember human driven AI power. Humans gotta ask the questions to push and drive it where they're wanting it to go. AI is gonna go in and do the review, power on, and come back.
That's right. So
Okay.
wonderful.
I almost missed that question, so I'll double check. I don't see any other questions. Just double checking before. Don't want to leave anybody hanging. Um, but feel free to reach out to us. You can find us on LinkedIn or email myself, Ryan, Mariusz. We're happy to chat and appreciate everybody. Take care.
Take
Bye
care.
now.
Bye.